Hey, what's up guys? It's Rick with the Digital Divide, and today I want to do a short retrospective on Aliens, the franchise. I've watched all the movies growing up, I've played all the games, and I love horror in general, so I just really wanted to spotlight this with the excellent new TV show out. And it all really starts with Dan O'Bannon, and he was the primary creator along with his co-writer Ronald Shusett. And they created the series back in 1976, but it wasn't called Aliens. It was originally called Star Beast. And this script, as you can see on the right here, this is the actual first draft of the script written in 1976. It was titled Star Beast, but when Dan decided to pitch this as a movie project, he changed the name to Alien. And we all know how it turned out. I mean, it's great. If you go through the script, there's all these amazing sketches and designs that he had in his mind of what he wanted things to look like. Here's a face hugger. Like, this is one of the original first sketches of a face hugger. It's just really, really cool. And you can find the script for this online with a quick Google search. The original concept involved a parasitic, ancient alien race with a complex life cycle, not a simple killer, and it was inspired in part by cosmic horror like H.P. Lovecraft's work. In the original script, though, discovery of the alien eggs happened in a pyramid on a stormy planet, not on a derelict ship.
Parasites, real living parasites here on Earth. They're microscopic things, but they have these complicated life cycles in which they infest. Well, first a cow picks it up on the hoof and it burrows into the person, and then it mutates in the body and it gets in the meat, and then a person eats a steak and it turns into something else, and then it crawls out your life. I took these submicroscopic parasites and I made them larger. The parasite that infests the person. And so the alien, the whole notion of it and everything that it did was put together through many days and nights over many months of just painstakingly considering and discarding every possible idea until I had a life cycle for this thing that I liked.
Now, when Aliens vs. Predator came out in 2004, they did revisit that original idea of this happening in like an Egyptian or Mayan-like pyramid. I want to share some of the original artwork that inspired Aliens. This is from H.R. Geiger, and some of this is dated 1978, some of it's dated 1976. So this is probably a lot of conceptual artwork that was done by him for Aliens 2. I'm not 100% sure, but some of this artwork is really amazing. Some of this stuff specifically towards the end here, the last few I'm going to show you, you can see how it inspired the aesthetic design of something like Prometheus. And it's just cool to see that translated on screen. Now, the original movie, Alien, came out in 1979 and was a smash hit. It was directed by Ridley Scott. Now, we got the sequel, Aliens, in 1986, and this time around it was directed by James Cameron and was much more action-focused, whereas the first movie was a slow, brooding, tension-building horror movie. The second one was more of an action film, and it was great as well, but very different. And then in 1992, we got Alien 3, and this one was directed by David Fincher, who also directed like Fight Club and a bunch of other movies you may have seen. Now, I loved Alien 3, but this movie got so much hate, I think because it kind of went back to the roots of Alien 1 in that it was much slower paced, there wasn't as much action, it was back to like a horror film. Now, they released a ton of other Alien movies that I'm not going to get into. I consider those first three like the main three entries. Aliens was so popular that Dark Horse Comics reached out to Fox and asked for the rights to make a comic book based on the Alien movie. So they released this. This is the first Alien comic book. I have it graded at an 8.0. It came out in 1988, and this is the first time that aliens appeared in comic books. I really loved that one, and it had a total of 6 issues in that first initial run. Now, since Disney owns Fox now, and they already owned Marvel, in 2002, they came out with a new Alien comic book release, and that run was really great. I highly recommend it. Toys are also a huge thing when it comes to aliens. Merchandising is all over the place. Some people obsess over their alien collections. Sadly, I don't have the space for all of that, but I do have this guy. This is the only alien toy I currently have. It is called Big Chap. This is one of the big alien dudes. This is made by a company called NECA. I got this a little while ago. It is collecting dust, literally, as you can see. I like to display these. It's still in the box, but yeah, it's made by NECA. I can't remember how much I paid for it. I think they go for like, I don't know, $50, somewhere around there. Now, they've also made a bunch of Alien video games. I remember one of my early favorites was Alien Trilogy on the Sega Saturn, which released in 1996. Here's a little bit of that. Now, my favorite of all time, though, has to be Aliens vs. Predator, the first game made by Rebellion Software. I think this came out in 1999, if I'm not mistaken, but this game was incredible. It let you play as either the aliens, Predator, or the Marines. I liked the aliens. That's the footage you're seeing here. The alien was super fast. He could run and climb on any wall upside down. And if you sneak up on humans, you could kill them with one hit by chopping their heads off. It was a whole lot of fun back in the day. And they're still making great Alien games. Alien Dark Descent is a really cool RTS-style strategy game that came out earlier this year. Speaking of awesome Alien things that have come out this year, if you're not watching Alien Earth, you should. It is ridiculously good. I think it's on FX, and I am absolutely loving this. It's like one of the best alien things that has been produced in a while. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that a large majority of the effects are practically done. They do use CG, but whenever possible, they always try to use practical, and they're sticking to those same principles from the original movies. And those movies were renowned for having amazing practical work on these creatures.
The whole thing pivoted on believing a number of rather fantastic things. And it was very clear that if the monster looked silly or the chest-bursting scene looked ridiculous or, the whole thing was a lost cause.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I'm going to leave you with this hilarious interview from 1979.
Sunday, the Ridgely Theater in Fort Worth had the biggest day in its entire history. It sold more than The Godfather, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Superman, and Love Story. But the biggest surprise to theater employees is the number of parents bringing young children to see Alien. Did you know that this was an R-rated movie when you brought him?
Yes, we did.
Are you sorry you brought him?
Yes, I am.
Are you glad you saw it?
Yeah.
Are you sorry, sir, that you brought your son along to see Alien?
No, ma'am, I think he should have seen it. It's something that he needs to know, that things could happen in life. That could be a true story, based on science. We never know what's going on the outside of the world.
Did the movie scare you at all?
Yes, ma'am, it did.
We take him to see a lot of horror pictures and things like, because we like horror movies. We're horror buffs, I guess.
Would you recommend to your little friends who are your age to go see it?
No, I wouldn't.